I'm telling you, just wait for this right from it.
Here he is coming down rather than going up. And R2 wanted him to come down, but I had him go down. And R2 wanted him to go up, and I had him go to the sidewalk. Because of evil, these people will be stopped. I will control the Congress, and we will build the wall and make sure that their stink is hidden, that we can no longer smell them, and their putrid, and their marijuana, and their alcohol. We will erase them from history by knowing how they think. And this is the moment where the bird is looking over Birdman, and we're going to see Birdman in a minute. He had to create all of this stuff so he could control, so he could be controlling. There he is. There's his bird man.
All right, roughly 3 hours and 59 minutes and 56 seconds. That's what we hiked today. So we did basically 4 hours. 4 hours, 3 hours and 59 minutes and 56 seconds, almost 4 hours, which is 2 times of what Matt Penfield did. Matt Penfield, 120 minutes. I did double. I did double the amount, just like I post double more than you. All right, I'm tired. I'm gonna jump in the shower. I was gonna head out for a double today. I logged that. Some shamu came up to me, started asking me questions about, I don't know, he used the word gunshot, that's all. So I said, look, I don't know. I was listening to headphones and he pulled up. So like, did you hear a gunshot or something? And he was like in his cruiser. I said, look, man, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I just kept on jogging. Sorry that I'm messing up. I'm sorry that I'm interfering with your exercise, he said, but did you hear a loud gunshot noise? And I was like, I have no idea what he's talking about. So he pulled up right next to me. So that's going to be investigated. I'm going to have to investigate a Latino cop. I didn't get a cruiser number. I didn't get a name. He didn't introduce himself. Could have been a fake cop. I don't know. We'll have to find out. He didn't introduce himself or anything, so we're going to find out on everything. But they banged on this door a few times. One time with assault rifles, so they were looking for someone that was running from them. I wrote a play about it, which is right here. The play I wrote, it all Spielberg-y. He's right here. It's in this play right here called, the play is called, and I wrote this play about the same exact thing. Hopefully by the end of summer, I'll be 170. That's what my goal is. 170 pounds right before September. Hopefully by my birthday, I'll be 180.
All right, Kitty, we're going to the police station to file a report against a police officer. Latino.
All right, it's 176,600 miles, 88 degrees Fahrenheit, felt like 90. It is May 11, 2023. We're headed to the police department in my area to file a report against a very rude police officer. And here's where the corrupt cop likes to hang out when he can. He's probably doing it out of time convenience. It's a law enforcement white settlement. I'll get their sign right here. The city of White Settlement. Right there. So time is working on his side, but I will make the report tomorrow. He said he's investigating something. Right. So here's some of their police officers. This is with Spivey. My last name is actually Spivey as well. He's the captain. S-P-I-V-E-Y. That's some dude, another captain. That's a corporal. Seeing if I can see what he looked like. Could have been a fake cop, but he was Latino. And there's no one at dispatch. None of these guys, I'd recognize them if I could see them. And it doesn't look like anyone's here. For records and customer service, stay online, someone will help you. The dispatch office. I'll just probably file the first complaint later on. Done this before. I'll call the first complaint in and see what I should do. I might have to go to City Hall. All right, I filed the report against the police officer with White Settlement administrator. So I spoke with an administrator about 6:10-ish p.m. on this day of May 11th of 2023. And, I asked for a supervisor to get a hold of me because he pulled right along my hiking trail, which is right by this church going up on this hill. And said, I'm sorry for interfering with your interference. I'm investigating something. And said something about a gunshot or something. The guy was out of his mind. So I was like, okay, I'm sitting there sweating, but I had to keep jogging. And he just kept rolling right next to me. Then his other cruiser pulls up way down about 100, 200 yards down the way. And he's sitting there investigating me while I'm sitting there jogging, asking me questions and all this stuff. Then he pulls up next to his cruiser buddy, which is probably supervising it, because I'm going to talk to a supervisor and ask, there's a time and place for everything. But I didn't speak to any of them. I just jogged right by them. And I went for 3 hours and 30 something minutes of jogging off and on and walking. I had to stop at the Civil War Museum to get some water. A guy drove me, one of the workers there drove me back to where White Settlement basically is. And that's where I'm filing the police report. Because they wanted trouble. So, yeah, I didn't figure out the laws on that one. Is that like, pulling up right beside you? I want to, they shot a guy. They shot a jogger. He had a stun gun on him, and they shot him. It made national news. So I'm making this report with the supervisors. I'm making this public. All I know was a Latino cop, and he was driving an SUV, white settlement cruiser, police cruiser. I didn't get a police cruiser number or badge number because it was almost 90 degrees, and I was trying to focus on my jog. I was trying to focus on exercise and breathing and going forward. And he's pulling up right beside me, going, hey, I'm investigating something that sounded like a gunshot or something like that. There's a time and place for everything. And that's rude. Because that could possibly even hurt somebody or cause a major problem. But it was a tough run. I got through it and got all the way up to Hip Pocket. And I thought, when I looked at Hip Pocket, I thought they had closed down. And I know they got all this stuff on Facebook. So I went and looked, and I found that they moved the theater, or it looks like they moved the theater to another section of the area. It was once a shooting range, and I took some photos with my I guess it's an iTouch. It's like a shuffle, basically like an advanced shuffle, iPod shuffle. It's an Apple product. I took some photos of the theater and everything. It looks like they got a little bit of work to do because I was going to go out there and help them build. And I may be getting a backup singer or possible new singer for, I guess I can still call it the Cole and Linda Band. It's still a cool name. I'm thinking about maybe changing the band to Peace Child and Beautiful. The Peace Child and Beautiful Band. Because Cole means Peace Child. That's my name, Cole. Okay, they're just now calling. All right, so I'm gonna have to check out YouTube, but we might have a backup singer or at least a different type of singer. So I got some information on YouTube, and it's through a post through Guitar Center. So this might be something cool. I'm gonna check it out. I'm in the middle of picking up a Whataburger. So we're gonna have to look at the amount right here. So just give me a second. Okay. All right, so the amount of the pickup time on the Whataburger is about 6 minutes. It's gonna be 2.9 miles. We'll arrive at Whataburger at 6:51 p.m. And we're gonna drop this Whataburger off at your doorstep. So when the police officer called me, and he wasn't a supervisor, but he was the one in charge. He was a beat officer. And when he called me, I said, first of all, let me lay this straight. I don't carry your armor. Do you know what that means? And he goes, well, no. I said, are you a biblical man? He goes, well, what does that have to? I said, are you, basically I was asking if he was a Christian. And he goes, what does my religion have to do with anything? But regardless, I don't carry your armor. I carry the armor of God. I think he can do the common sense and realize what that means, that I don't carry your armor, but I carry the armor of God. You know what that means, don't you? It means you better get your facts straight, because law comes from the Bible. All law comes from the Bible, as in the Old and New Testament. So you better start reading it and figure out what the armor of God is. All right, we're at Whataburger. Finally made it. This one's kind of a quaint Whataburger off of Benbrook right here. There's Harmon Dotson, his dream to make a hamburger, cheeseburger that would fit in both your hands. He died on an airplane crash. Him and his partner, they went 100 feet in the air on a Cessna, or a personal plane, and then it fell right into the ground after the engine died. That's what the old school Whataburgers look like back in the day. And there's one right there. And these little stops, they always had this A thing right here. It's like basically like a huge A container kind of thing. And he doesn't carry your armor either. All right. We'll be there at 0.5, about 2 minutes, 7:21 p.m. It's relatively, Whataburgers is like right over there by Arby's. Look at this right here. It's relatively fine. I can take that one. But, yeah, there's no way that police officer's keeping his job. There's no way. He didn't want to be a police officer. He pulled like right up beside me. Hey, did you hear anything like a gunshot? That was it. That's the last thing. They can't do any of that. He probably thinks it's funny, but he's going to have to do something else. And hey, hallelujah. Maybe he'll find something where he doesn't have to wear a deadly sidearm and kill people, you know? They shot a jogger that had a stun gun. This made national news. He was jogging around. They cornered him. And of course, he pulled out his stun gun, probably to throw it away. And they shot him. They didn't kill him though, but he was a jogger. So I just had my shuffle, my iPod Apple. Actually, to be honest, I had my touch, which does take photographs. And when I went all the way to Hip Pocket, because I jogged all the way to Hip Pocket, I don't know how far that was. It could have been 20 miles, I have no idea. It took me 3 hours and about at least 3 hours to get there. And then I stopped off at the Civil War Museum, and it was about 3 hours and 30 minutes or so is what I finally clocked. No, that's wrong. I was about 3 hours when I got to the White Settlement. 3 hours and 4 minutes when I got to the White Settlement Civil War Memorial. The Civil War Memorial. And they gave me some water. They dropped me off at the park. I told them about the Please Subscribe show, and I walked it in and kept the timer on. By the time I got back, it was 3 hours and 36 minutes or something like that. About 3 hours and 37 minutes of constant, walking and slightly jogging. I jogged all the way to Hip Pocket from where I live. So I don't know how many miles that was, but I was able to do that. Hip Pocket's right off of Silver Lake. When I got there, I did look for the theater, and they did move the theater, and then I used their bathroom to get some water. And then I headed back to the War Memorial. It's a Civil War Memorial along the highway where I got some more water. And I asked the guy, I said, listen, can I please get a ride off of White Settlement Road? And he said, yeah, that's fine. So he was one of the guys that worked there. His friend was driving. And then he dropped me off at a nearby park, and I walked another 30 minutes or so back to my place. And man, I'm telling you, I was exhausted. I thought it was maybe a possible heat stroke. I was hoping it wasn't a heat stroke. I probably wouldn't have done that if I wasn't approached by the officer. So I don't know, because they're police officers are kind of extremist in a way, which they don't need to be. They don't need to approach joggers on stuff like some kind of gunshot noise or something, or whatever he was. I couldn't hear him. I had my iTouch earplugs in, so I couldn't really hear what he was saying. But I tried to say, listen, you know, kind of leave me alone. I gave the body gesture of leave me alone. And he kept asking questions. He was a Latino officer. Well, look, I'm investigating this, blah, 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 blah. And he was trying to blow it off so he wouldn't have to file the report. He's going to lose his job. I'm 100% sure. I'm 100% sure. One down, many more to go. See, the rich use police officers to try to kill you. That's what they try to do. This is a Robin Hood tale. They'll use police officers to try to kill you. They're all the way from Oklahoma. Not my house. So I told him I don't carry your armor. I carry your fatty food. Sometimes, I don't know, I've dropped off a few times. Some police pigs are pigging out. I've been dropped off at a station before. I also went by the White Settlement police station to investigate. Didn't see his name on the wall at all, but there's a guy named Spivey. That's the captain. The main captain is a dude named Spivey. My name is Cole Spivey. And yeah, I'm Irish. You're fired, you Latino cop. Sorry, I'm mad. I'm mad. I don't mean to be racist, but I'm mad. You're fired. You were fired, you're dismissed. Turn in your badge and your sidearm. You're fired! You are fired! You understand? You are fired. You never approach someone that's in the middle of freaking jogging like that. Never. In your life, you never do that. Your incident is a separate thing. There's a time and place for everything. You're fired! Turn in your badge and your freaking sidearm now! All right, the next one's a McDonald's. We'll go exactly 6.8 miles to pick up your McDonald's. We'll be there in 10 minutes. Arrival time is 7:37 p.m. as in the post-meridian. As a police officer, you don't pull up next to a jogger and go, hey, did you hear a loud noise that sounded like a gunshot coming from, you know, blah, blah, blah. You don't do any of that. It's the wrong time and the wrong place for that, okay? You don't do any of that. You need to wise up, use common sense. You'll probably be disciplined, hopefully fired. So this guy I just dropped off food to keeps calling me back and saying weird stuff to me. And he's sending texts to me. And I had that happen in Uber. Remember, I was assaulted whenever I was with Uber Eats. A guy punched me in the chin through a Burger King window. It really happened. Because I yelled at him to make the order. And I'm not gonna lie, I yelled. I lost my temper and yelled. But you know, the thing is let me explain something. Regardless of me getting upset, I didn't lose my temper and hit him. I lost my temper and yelled to make the effing order. And then he responded by hitting me right off of Harry Hines. You're talking about criminal. I waited 20 minutes for the cops to arrive. The guy goes running out in the middle of the street, in the middle of the dark shadows of Harry Hines. And so I just took off. I had to ice my chin for a month, actually longer than that. I wrote a novel. A whole novel about me getting hit in the chin. It starts off pretty much, it mentions the assault. It's about a teacher that runs an English class. That's why I always talk about the English majors. I just missed it. That's the McDonald's. It's about an English teacher that you have to read it. It's about it's some of it's third person, some of it's first person. But it's an English teacher who has like an emotional affair with one of the students, and then meets this wild lady called Catch 22 lady, and you know who that is. It's loosely based on Linda a little bit, but he meets her and then he has to go through COVID. So it was written during the height of the coronavirus. So it has information about coronavirus and the bomb burrito. And the bomb burrito is mentioned because I was starving during the coronavirus. I was also wearing a lot of these things, and it's about the nightmare of the coronavirus. And it's on Fiction Press. I believe they're .com. I know with Fiction Press and fan fiction, they use like .net or .org. This is the guy. There's his rude text right there. He's harassing me. I just dropped off his Whataburger. He won't stop harassing. I think those are encrypted. His name comes up when he calls. He keeps calling every 5 minutes. He says, "You ready to be nice?" Yes, hello.
27.
Yes, hello. Y'all don't have any specials, like any deals or anything?
No, sir.
Nothing?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm gonna place an order.
Okay. Okay, if you can't hear me, you can pull up to the first window.
All right, I'm gonna place an order.
Sir, am I not speaking loud enough, or?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, what can I get for you?
All right. How much do y'all charge for like a large Coca-Cola?
What else?
I mean, I'm just asking how much you charge for one.
140. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, the guy sent me like thousands of messages. They're all like blue devil faces and all this stuff. And then finally what I did is add him as a contact and then put block caller. It was very easy to do. You just I put add it on contact as harassment. Then you hit block caller at the end and then they go away. All right, so right here, what we're getting for the customer is we're getting 4 McNuggets, or what a 4-piece is, and a 10 McNuggets with 2 hot mustards and then another hot mustard, then another hot mustard, and then 2 double cheeseburgers, which is correct. That's what they ordered. Okay, that guy that dropped the Whataburger off would not stop sending these little blue devil icon things, whatever it is. He kept sending it over and over and over and again, and it was getting bad. You want to add them as contact, put them harassment, then put block caller, and they go away. But you want to tell them, if they call, he called like 10 times, you want to tell them that you'll report them to the police if they keep harassment, because that's phone harassment and it is against the law. If it goes on and on and on and on, I have no idea what he could possibly want, you know. But he was like, "You ready to do this?" Then he says, "I have your address and I'm gonna, you know, whatever it is." He says something like, "I have your address and I'm on my way," or something like that. So I have no idea. This is the middle of a neighborhood in the middle of nowhere. I don't see who this guy was, because all I did was drop off food. So that, I did a screenshot. I don't know if I did a screenshot of the text of him saying, "I have your address, I'm coming after you," or whatever. I don't know for sure if that is what he said in the text, but I did a screenshot of his text before I blocked him. I had to block him quick so I could focus on the next pickup, because it was going through nonstop. Like, it was just one post after the next, one message, it's a message, one text message after the next text message, after the next text message, after the next text message, and it kept on going. These little blue devils and making all these little icon things, trying to blow up your phone kind of thing. Just all you do is save them as contact, put them down for harassment. Now, when a police officer comes up to you, there it is, right there. Right when I said that, boom, police department. So, as you can see, my hair is a little longer. When I spoke with Officer Banner, who claimed to be a sergeant, he claimed to be Sergeant Banner. He's no longer a sergeant, he's been demoted, and I'm sure he'll be fired. The first thing he said to me was insulting my voice, okay? He insulted who I was. So I told him, "I'm a father of 3 children, David, Elizabeth, and Gwendolyn. Now, what does my voice sound like now?" And I tried to ask him about religion, and he dodged the question. So the first thing that he did is insult me. He insulted me. He goes, "I honestly don't know," is what he said. And you know what he said. So I have 3 children. I'm a father of 3 children. What do you think about that, Sergeant Banner, who's no longer a sergeant? He's now demoted to an officer and will lose his job. Actually, to be honest, they'll probably fire him for being that rude. All right, so since Sergeant Banner or really he's Officer Banner, but now he's Mr. Banner because he's no longer a police officer. Since he likes to insult people, he goes, oh, I honestly don't know. Your voice, blah, blah. Well, here, let me explain something. I know he's laughing, but he goes, well, my name is Banner, like the Star Spangled Banner. That's what they always look for a sign. They get that from they're getting that from another generation. They're getting that from what's known as the boomer generation, okay? There are no signs, okay? We're not gonna look for a sign. Now, because of the Star Spangled Banner, you're no longer a police officer. You get it? Because I have the right to speak against you. It's my First Amendment right. So your little Star Spangled Banner is not going to help you on this one. You better go to another country, and I would, if I were you, go to another country and find someone else to insult. Because that's the last person you're going to insult. Because that's aggressive behavior on your end. Now, let me insult you. I honestly couldn't tell either. So when I filed my report against you, Mr. Sergeant Banner, I put only officer, not he or she. You're fired! There's only one job of a soldier, and that's to die. One job of a soldier, and that's to die. That's your only job as a soldier, is to die. That's it. You don't have any other job. Your job as a soldier is simply to die. And hey, my best friend who wanted to be a cop, Foster Harrington, he died. He's not on your frequency. He's not on anybody's frequency. He's on what's called the dead frequency. Yeah, got it from Sean Penn on Casualties of War. He's on the dead frequency. Your only job as a soldier is to die. That's it. Do you understand that voice? Yeah, that's the voice you heard in boot camp. Yep, you know what? You're not a police officer anymore. Go find a job. Now, last part, Sergeant Banner, you sounded a whole lot like the guy that called me and harassed me and blew up my phone, which I put his information down on block caller because you can do that through an iPhone. So I had to do that so my phone wouldn't go crazy. And you sounded exactly like the same guy that called me, the same exact voice. Before you called, you did something else, and that'll be investigated. Let me tell you something, Sergeant or Officer or Mr. Banner is your name now. Mr. Banner, because you have no badge anymore. Let me explain something now. A police officer in Fort Worth is in prison because of these very things. They tried to investigate something that they had no right to investigate. You're not a private detective. You're not a private detective. All you are is someone that looks for crime and responds. You don't go and investigate because that's what Hoyt's-Claw did. And Hoyt's-Claw liked to investigate black women until he orally sodomized them, and now he's doing 266 years in prison. Do you want to try that, Mr. Banner? 266 years in prison? Because that's what he was given by the judge, your people. I don't go to the town of Vanity. I pass through the judge. My only partner is Hopeful, which is a female. I have a wife, and I have 3 children. Do you understand that? You just insulted a godly man. You lost your job. Now go work at McDonald's. If I were you, I'd go to Iraq or Iran, because I can promise you this, your life just turned into hell in America, as in HE double hockey sticks. How does that sound, Banner? As in Mr. Banner? I ride around in a SUV and try to police people and kill the poor. Not anymore, you don't.